Welcome on into another episode of Golf on Tap. Hope everyone out there had themselves a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. I'm Jack Bushman, joined by Ross Baran, and we also got the president, I almost misspoke, of Visor Gang, Tweeth Mitchell, back on the show, repping the SMU Visor on the pod. We got an exciting end of the season award show coming today. And also some discussion on Tony Finau. But before we get there, Tweeth, just wanted to say thank you for taking the time, my friend, and jumping back on the pod. How you doing here this evening?
Thanks for having me, boys. I'm excited to be here. It's great to see you both. Happy holidays.
Absolutely, Ross. Hope you're doing well on this fine Tuesday afternoon, my brother. Stoked for the show we got on deck today.
Oh yeah, can't wait. After all that shit they were showing in Buffalo the other day, all that snow, none of that actually got here. I only live 40 minutes away, where they just got poured on the whole time. Me and Emily are watching, looking outside, not a flake, nothing going on. And then this morning I go outside, and it's like, oh no, we got 3 inches overnight. There was nothing during the game, and then just out of nowhere, boom.
Crept up in on you. That's how I felt on the first snow here in the Chicagoland area. I was not prepared for it whatsoever and went to take that early morning glare out the window and saw a nice inch of snow sitting on my car and was totally not prepared for getting all the snow off and getting into the cold. So I hope you're bundling up there, and to everyone out there, hope you're excited for a good show. We got a lot of awards to dish out following an exciting 2024 PGA Tour season that has now officially come to a close with the FedEx Cup fall concluding. But fellas, before we get to the end of season awards, we got to talk about the rumors swirling around Mr. Tony Finau, as of course not playing in the Hero World Challenge this week, officially withdrew from that. Also, some interesting tidbits. He is currently not committed to the Century Tournament of Champions. And we have heard LIV rumors around Tony Finau's name for a couple of years now. So I think for the golf community to see it again, there is still a little bit of hesitancy. But from afar, it sure seems like this is more serious, and it appears to be further along than it's ever been before. Tweeth, I'm curious your thoughts off the top on these latest rumors surrounding Big Tone.
Yeah, I think at some point it stops being rumor and it starts just being probable. And listen, if I were Tony and I need a little cash, I would probably go too. I think I have a question for you guys. At this point, if you're Tony Finau and you're doing this, are you just giving up on the idea of ever winning a major? Why? I know they're going to buy the DP World Tour. I know he's going to be able to play wherever he wants over there and get some world ranking points and probably get his way into.
Oh boy! Hope we didn't lose Mr. Tweeth for good. But I knew where he was going with. I know where he was going with that, Ross. And hopefully he'll be able to jump back in here with us soon. But interestingly enough, I had the same exact thought surrounding these Tony Finau rumblings to LIV, because I feel like just where he's at in the stage of his career, and also, Ross, where Jace is and his kids are growing up and he's very hands-on in their development of the game, it does feel like Tony Finau could possibly be in that position.
We're back.
We got you back in here, brother. Well, I'll let you carry on that thought in just 1 second. But I was basically saying the same thing. I felt that Tony Finau, quite honestly, this is an interesting time for him to make that type of jump, because he is in this latter stage where it feels like that this isn't a serious move for him at this stage of his career. Ross, what do you kind of feel about that?
It feels like it's been the writing on the wall the whole time, that all these rumors have continued to come up for him. He's there you go, Tony. It seems like he is just kind of embracing the debate, going there and just calling it what it is. I'm gonna go get my money. That I'm calling it what it is. I know where I'm at. I've got a little bit of this fandom superstardom where people follow, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna get that. But I might as well go get what I'm being entitled to coming through PIF and LIV. And it just feels like it's the jump. I may not get all this money winning a major or anything. I'm just going to go solidify and get my family.
Yeah, I feel like for Tony, where he's at right now, it makes sense for the vibes he's kind of giving off, and it's not like the most serious golfer in the world driving for majors type of thing. Quite honestly, I do wonder, and I know Tony Finau was very close to the PGA Championship this year. He played well in majors. It still feels unlikely that he's going to win a major at this stage of his career, and now going to LIV. I feel like it's more unlikely if he were to make this move. Tweeth, I think we got you back, big fella.
I'm so sorry. My fault.
Don't worry. We've had plenty of errors here on the show. Continue.
My son tried to FaceTime me on this iPad and it shut down everything. The iPad was like, no thanks, we're not doing this anymore. You got to pick one, man.
Those damn kids. But it is a very interesting move if this does wind up going through for Tony Finau at his age, where his kids are at in terms of their trying to get into the game. Tony's very hands-on with all of that. Like, kids are expensive as well, right? There's obviously the stuff going on with him in Utah. I don't know if that impacts the decision whatsoever, but interesting time for Tony Finau to be making this jump for sure. But Tweeth, I want you to follow up on that full thought of yours because I know it kind of cut you off in the middle.
Yeah,
there.
I think if you're Tony, I know he's going to get his OWGR points somehow, and he'll probably get into 3 or 4 of the majors, maybe. But that's not a guarantee.
No.
And this guy has enough talent to win one, if not several majors. And I know a lot has been made of the idea that like he has talent that hasn't been used and whatever. But the saddest part about it, listen, I don't care if he goes to LIV like that. That's fine. He should do that if he wants to. And I'll probably watch him there. The saddest part about it is it seems to signal that he's lost faith in his ability to compete on the major stage. And the last move left is to get a check. And I'm sure that's what kind of you guys are saying too, but that's heartbreaking to me as someone who's seen his entire career, saw him on big break, and was counting the days for a long time to when this major was going to happen. And now it seems like Tony closed the book on himself before any of us closed the book on him. And that's a little sad to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't see how a jump to LIV would be beneficial for him in the biggest tournaments in the world. Quite honestly, I think it would be the opposite. And one of the first thoughts that popped into my mind, listen, I wouldn't be surprised to see Tony Finau go over to LIV and do exceptionally well. I also wouldn't be super surprised to see him go over there and kind of post middling results. Like, that wouldn't surprise me in the least with where Tony's at. And again, with how involved he is with his kids and being such a family man, right? Like, that wouldn't surprise me either. But I do agree, Tweeth. It does feel like if he makes a move there, it almost feels like it's a reflection on his career that the money is best for me now and not just like the competition.
Sure.
And yeah, I respect it.
I mean, that's exactly what, when you were relogging in Tweet that we were talking about, my perspective was this is Tony saying that I know I have the game and can potentially win majors and get money through that, but this is my sure thing. And what do I for sure know? And it's just kind of the take care of my family. I'm going to go cut the check, get over there. Everything, including everything coming out of Utah, that all just kind of disappears, even under the table. That I think that's where it's going.
Yeah, I'm sure if you ask him, if you say, hey, do you want $100 million? Do you want a major? He'd pick a major. I think if you said, do you want $100 million and probably not a major, or $0 and still probably not a major, he'd pick the $100 million. And to him, the choice to go is fully a referendum on how he thinks he exists on that continuum between likely or not likely to win a major. And it seems like he now thinks of himself as less likely to win a major than he is likely to win it. And that makes the $100 million or whatever it is a lot more attractive.
Yeah, I feel the same exact way. Last thing I wanted to bring up while you're also catching some strays here in the chat tweet.
These guys don't know shit.
Oh, you gotta go to the first one. The first one was the best.
I didn't see that. I didn't see I thought he only posted 2. Scratch is on you today, Tweet.
Man, Scratch is mad because I beat him at Bolingbrook, and he's gonna be salty. He'd be salty for as long as he wants.
Scratch is just mad that the whole Lions defense is injured.
That's right. He's got issues.
Last thing I did
the
want
Bears are going to take his offensive coordinator.
Oh my God, I'm not going to get my hopes up on that, Ross. I'm really not.
That's
but we
not
don't
happening.
have to. Yeah, I don't think so. We
Yeah.
don't have to go there on today's conversation. But last little thing I wanted to ask you guys before moving over to our award show: are there any other players that I personally haven't seen any other real substantial rumors on any players other than Tony Finau? But are there any players you think possibly we could see make the jump to LIV as well, or any other rumors that you guys have seen at all throughout the offseason?
I've seen one, and you have to take it with a grain of salt, obviously, for who's saying stuff. But every rumor I've seen is that there's one for sure we know is going, which I would loop. That's probably Tony Finau. But there's another big name that is further along in an active discussions. And the name that I've seen the most come up is Adam Scott.
There's been rumors there for a while too.
Here's the thing. If you're negotiating with them at this point, this is just like negotiating terms with a hooker. You're going to do it, right? Like, you don't get to that point unless you're very interested in consummating you know what I mean? Like, this is just what's off limits, and are we going to kiss or not? Like, there is nothing. It's just price. And so, like, if you're hearing the same name over and over again, and someone says they're far along in negotiations, they're going. It's just, can LIV wait them out to where the price makes sense, to where their price makes sense, or does LIV want them enough to pay Adam Scott's dollar? And that's it. It's like, hey, are we doing this for 80 million? Or are we doing it for 120? Like, it's details at that point. It's happening.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And honestly, I'd like your guys' opinion. To me, someone that's super accomplished like Adam Scott, I don't have a problem if you want to.
That's the guy who should go. You have your major.
Go.
You're not getting another one. Go.
Go. You've already got your moment. You've already solidified your career. Yeah. At this point, if they are going to pay that money to get you over there and be just one of those feature faces stars, dude, go do it. Go do it. And I don't think there's a single actual true golf fan, like people that watch and enjoy the game of golf, that is gonna lose any respect for you. Like, no. You've done everything over here. You go do that. You go do that for sure.
Adam Scott is Neiman Marcus Henrik Stenson. Like, right? Like, you have your major. You've done the thing you need to do. You've represented your country well. Just go. It's fine. We're good with you. Do it.
Yeah.
My only thing is that Adam Scott is on that committee for the PGA Tour. So what does that look like for the tour now that he's one of the big player representative names in those meetings? That if he is unnamed player that is going over there, does that just completely blow this up on the PGA side?
I think he knows what everybody else knows, which is that PIF isn't that interested anymore. And the interest that PIF has in investing in the PGA Tour is getting smaller by the day because they need it less by the day. And you can see that from 100 yards away. You don't have to be in the room to know that. And so I think Adam Scott knows what everybody else knows, which is like, they either need to get by on the SSG money or they need to just call it.
Complete butcher job. Ricky Fowler. Anyone heard?
He's just saying that because he wants to piss off Masters fans. Just like, y'all need to just mute Scratch. You can't get it. You can't get into the weeds with this guy. Like, love you, Scratch.
Should know better. Anyways, I think that'll carry us over into the end of season awards, which I'm very excited to get into. Some serious ones. I'm sure very many fun ones that we're going to be having on today's show. But I think where we should start, fellas, is with the player of the year debate. Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, I think, are the two primary candidates that I figure we would probably be going with. But I'm interested to hear if someone were to be going with Xander Schauffele over Scotty, why, and said arguments. Tweeth, give it to you first, my friend.
I think there's an argument to be made that both of them would switch places with the other.
Yeah.
That Scotty maybe would prefer Xander's year. He already had a major going in. 2 makes it really compelling. And he's got a lot of money. He also seems to maybe not care about the money quite as much as Xander probably might. I think there's also an argument that Xander would maybe prefer Scotty's year. He doesn't have a Masters yet. You have one major instead of two. With a guy who had zero, one is pretty compelling, and $64 million or whatever the hell Scotty made this year. And so it's one of the weird situations where I think in their heart of hearts, maybe both guys would switch places with the other, but which guy would have a harder time switching? That's how you know who the player of the year is. And Xander would have a harder time switching than Scotty would. Scotty would switch instantly. Xander would take all night to think about it and drink himself into convincing him to switch. That's why Xander Schauffele is the player of the year.
That is a very good argument. Ross, what are you thinking, my friend?
So I actually have two answers for this one. First of all, I'm going to agree with Uncle Tweeth here that it comes down to, if you look at the body of work, would any player basically love to have Scotty's season? Of course, there's a gold medal, there's a President's Cup, there's all the wins, there's a major in there.
There's a players in there.
There's a players in there. I still think any true golfer, professional, people that grind it out will take Xander's two. I think that they're gonna take the two, because at the end of the day, same argument I had 4 months ago. At the end of the day, in 20 years, we're not going to remember that Scotty won 8 events and won FedEx Cup and all this stuff. We're going to remember that Xander won 2 majors that year and cleared half of them out. We're going to remember that was his breakthrough moment. But if you want my true number one player of the year,
sing it to me, Ross.
Not only grabbing a big dub late in the season, but what a just total comeback turnaround story. The true player of the year is Keegan Bradley fucking winning BMW and being named the Ryder Cup captain after being left off last year.
I always love a good shout out to my boy Keegs. I don't know if he's got quite the resume of these other two guys, but I'll tell you what, it was one heck of a year for Keegan Bradley, Ross. It is one that I will remember for Keegs for a long, long time. And I hope 2025 at Bethpage is one I remember for my boy Keegs for a long, long time as well. For me, this was a really, really close argument that I was leaning towards Xander with up until Scotty took the gold medal and won the FedEx Cup. To me, that's what made him the player of the year, winning the Masters, becoming the first player to ever win the Players' Championship in back-to-back years. Tiger Woods never even did it. Goes and wins the gold medal. And the way he won these tournaments too, I mean, unbelievable final rounds to go out there and go unbelievably low at both the Olympics and the Players, and then to cap it off with his first FedEx Cup title when Eastlake has kind of gotten the best of him so far in his career. He really buttoned down everything there. So I ended up going with Scotty Scheffler, but listen, I can't really argue anyone going with Xander Schauffele here, because I do agree at the end of the day, we're going to look back and see that Xander won 2 majors this year. Yeah, Scotty won his second career major, won his second Masters, but 2 majors in a single year for Xander. That is certainly big, and I'm not going to argue that long-term that might be the most impactful season, but just the total body of work that Scotty had and the way that he went about it with just his tee to green prowess and then getting better with the putter, that just unlocked everything. I ended up going with Scotty Scheffler, fellas, but I certainly don't blame you for going in your directions. Tweeth, I'm going to turn it over to you to give us your first superlative that you wrote down for today's episode. I'm excited to hear what you got in store for us.
I have a lot. I don't have them in any kind of order.
No worries.
I'll give you, do you want me to do win of the year, or do you want me to do person of the year? We're going to start off with one of those two.
Let's start with person of the year.
I love this. Person of the year. Thought about this a lot. Maybe it's one of the players of the year, right? Maybe it's Scotty, maybe it's Xander, maybe it's even Bryson. He did a ton of content. He made a hole in 134 last week. Good for him. But there's one person who I think, when I think back on this, thought about Brian Gillis too. I thought maybe that was person of the year.
I think I know where you're going. I'm going to be so happy.
I don't think you do, but maybe you do. The person of the year for me is Johnson Wagner.
Let's go.
Is that what you thought I was going to say?
Yes.
I think when I think about this year, I'm just going to think about Johnson Wagner over and over and over again. That dude that is 2024 in golf right there. And I think we ought to take a second to appreciate Johnson Wagner as the person of the year in golf. Congratulations, J-Dub. You have a great stash. You have a great attitude. Best content on Golf TV. Appreciate you.
That is a phenomenal answer. A phenomenal answer. Ross, do you got one, or are you going in the same way?
That was going to be my pick, would be Johnson Wagner. From the very beginning of watching Johnson Wagner throw 90-mile-an-hour fastballs
just
into
right
the
into
ground
the bank
to simulate what Rory's ball may or may not have done, to him basically recreating Bryson's shot and hitting it even better.
That's maybe the shot of the year, because he goes, this shot's impossible, and then stuffs it.
That was
the best part that led to that scene is the previous one where he basically put it into the clubhouse glass.
Yeah.
And then Bryson rolls up. It's like, dude, you got to go one more time. And then a couple weeks, and then what people forgot is after all these moments that built him up so high, it brought him right back down, that he tried to simulate another shot, warned us about the yips, and completely bladed it over the clubhouse another time later in the year. And just no, Johnson Wagner, I'm going to be unanimous with Tweeth here and just say Johnson Wagner is the person of the year.
That is a great one, fellas. I don't think I could argue that one. I do want to give a shout out to Bryson, though, for all that he's done online in terms of building his own brand. I do feel like he's the only guy that's gone over to LIV and has actually like gotten bigger, has actually like taken advantage of the opportunity over there. And I'll give him a shout out for the entertainment he provided in the majors this year. The PGA Championship was awesome. And then for him to kind of go and do it and win the US Open, getting the crowd entertained, the big fist pumps, just I think there's a real big need of that showman in golf right now, and Bryson filled that hole this year, and I think it kind of resonated with a lot of people that it's a shame that we only do get to see him 4 times. I know there are people out there that would probably argue too much Bryson would probably get old real fast, and then everyone would go back to hating him again like it was a couple of years ago, but I enjoy what Bryson really has done. I wasn't able to think of another one off the top of my head, but I can't go with Bryson over Johnson Wagner. Bryson would be my answer that I came up with off of the top of my head, but Johnson Wagner is a phenomenal answer for that category. I don't think anyone deserves it more than him, and appreciate him being willing to go out there and lay it all on the line, because anything could happen out there, and he wasn't afraid. So I absolutely loved it out of Johnson Wagner, and I think a lot of people felt the same way.
We need to tell him he got this award so he'll come on this podcast. That's a dream get.
Yes.
That is true.
And shout out Uncle Tweeth for your take earlier, because I completely agreed with earlier on the takes, man. Uncle Tweeth here said watching Bryson do the hole-in-one challenge, that celebration looked a little
It's just forced.
too much. Just
This wasn't.
a little forced. If it was any of us on day 16 of that thing over, you're going, fucking finally, thank God. You're not running around screaming your head off. You're just glad it's over.
That's Bryson. He's a little bit of a cornball sometimes, does things in a little bit of a weird way. That's
SMU, though.
SMU, though, absolutely. Go Mustangs, baby. Next one that I had here, fellas, was the win of the year. Who had the best win of the year? Not to steal it from you, Mr. Tweeth, but that is the second one that I had written down on my list here. Who had the best or most notable victory of the entire year? Tweeth, let's start with you.
Oh, you want me to go first? All right.
I
don't want to steal it from you. You go first, and I'll follow up, because you might have one of mine. I have 2.
All right. Honestly,
actually,
you want to go first?
I would prefer to go first, because we're going to need to bring this back around and make it funny again. I'm going to go win of the year is Grayson Murray at the Century for the redemption.
Thank you for going first.
Back. Yeah.
It
just hey, we had to get that one in there. We got to give the shout out
Definitely.
Before it gets too emotional, anything, we'll just leave it very simple at that. R.I.P. Grayson. But
Hold
that
on.
was
Sorry. I do want to add to that because one of my favorite videos that I saw the entire year that the PGA produced was his caddy talking about that moment before Grayson made that huge putt in the playoff. He said that he had saw Sam Stevens have that same exact putt on the 18th before they had gotten into the playoff, and he knew exactly what the putt did, and he just told Grayson to hit it with conviction, and it's going to go in. And he made it, had the huge fist pump, goes on to win the tournament. So I definitely wanted to share that because I absolutely loved that clip that the PGA Tour shared, Ross. Not to cut you off there, buddy.
No, I just wanted to, let's get the emotional one out of the way. We will give our T's and P's, but give the credit where credit is due. I thought that was the win of the year for the redemption story. Everything, obviously, everything that happened after that was tragic, but for that moment, I thought that was awesome for the tour.
Absolutely. It was a great way to kick off the year, too. Grayson Murray, someone who had been grinding throughout the FedEx Cup fall, second start of the year, goes and gets a win. Was a real cool moment for Grayson. And once again, rest in peace to Grayson Murray. I'm going with win of the year. This one gets overlooked, but I'm going with Nick Taylor at the Waste Management Phoenix
That's a good
Open.
one.
It got overlooked because the Super Bowl was on, and I do feel bad for my boy, the Seagull, Chuck Hoffman, who probably thought he had that thing locked and loaded. But Nick Taylor was a man on a mission to close out that Sunday round. I believe he birdied 15, 16, and 18, and then birdied both playoff holes. Charlie Hoffman, I know, birdied one of the playoff holes as well. But Nick Taylor standing over a 10-footer that matters. The guy just turns into Tiger Woods all of a sudden. I thought that was an absolutely epic victory. And I do remember the first half of the Super Bowl this past year was an absolute snooze fest. So I remember watching it on my phone being like, this is better than the football right now. Shout out to Nick Taylor for winning at the Players' Championship. By the way, after having kind of a heartbreaking loss there a couple of years prior, that was my win of the year. Shout out to Nick Taylor.
Right. Yeah. He's got a lot of dog in him. Nick Taylor.
He does.
Huge miss to not put him on the President's Cup team. Okay, both of mine are still out there, so I'm going to give you both of them. We have a men's division and a women's division here. Win of the year for me, Nick Dunlap at the Amex. Like, that just immediately, like, win of the year, hands down, and amateur winning it just was an awesome win. That 4-foot putt, 4.5-foot putt, 5-foot putt, whatever he had at the end, I'd still be looking at it now. Like, I wouldn't have been able to hit it. And just a killer Saturday around. Like the dude absolutely deserved the win. And it was a really great tournament and a great win there. On the women's side, this might be maybe the best win of the year across the board. Lydia Ko at the Old Course, putting a stamp on a real major and in authoritative fashion in a tournament that had a ton of possibilities going down the stretch. That was an awesome tournament and a great win for her. So that's my Lydia Ko at the Old Course is probably win of the year, but Nick Taylor at Amex is my PGA Tour win of the year.
I remember that chip too. He had to get up and down from kind of a dicey area.
Yeah, man.
72nd hole, stepped up and then fist pumps the 4-footer. Stones, baby. Love that out of the kid.
Yeah, it's like grandma was there or something like that.
Yeah.
Rip.
I don't think anyone expected Nick Taylor. It probably was like 800-1 at that tournament when took that bad boy down, went on to win for a second time as well later on in the season. Tweeth, I stole win of the year from you. What's the next one you got queued up for us?
All right. Can we let's do here what we got here. Let's do golf shot of the year. We'll get into some funny ones after this, but I think we ought to do golf shot of the year. I think the one that Ross mentioned earlier, Bryson at Pinehurst, is the one that I keep hearing is the golf shot.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick a different golf shot from that same tournament. I'm going to pick Frankie Molinari making a hole-in-one on the 9th hole, his 18th hole of the day, to make the cut at that tournament. That shot, I think about that shot once a week and have since June. That shot ruled. That's my shot of the year. Molinari hole-in-one to make the cut at Pinehurst was awesome.
That was a good one. I completely forgot about that too, just because of everything that went down at Pinehurst. I completely forgot Francesco had made an ace there. Bryson, was the obvious one that came to my mind. I think people obviously are going to remember that shot the most, but there was the pitch shot that he had on 9 to get up and down, where literally the announcers had talked all week. It was the hardest place to get up and down, and he got up and down from.
Was that when he was over like back left? So, yeah, that was
back
wild.
left. He was in the trees off of his drive on the right. Was in a terrible spot. Hit a huge hook just to get over that left spot, and oh my God, what's his name? Broadcaster. Why am I blanking right now? Who was on Sunday at the U.S. Open? Notorious asshole. Golf broadcasters, guys, drop the names. He's not on very often, but super opinion. Brandel Chambly. Thank you very much. Brandel Chambly.
Right. I wouldn't have got there because I'd have thought of every play-by-play guy that I knew.
Yeah, right.
It's not Faldo. It's not Azing.
And of course, Brandel Chambly was on the call that Sunday, and he's talking shit on Bryson the entire round, telling him he's getting lucky breaks left and right when he's driving it into the pine straw. And I remember, because he's rooting against the LIV guy all day, he goes, he's absolutely dead back there. No chance he gets up and down. Bryson gets up and down. Huge fist pump. That's another one that stands out to me. Ross, what do you got for shot of the year?
So I actually have a tie, but it's actually, one's funny, one's cool. I'm going to go shout out that I had a different shot, but shout out to the Takesman and Cam Irons for reminding me Alejandro Tosti driving the fucking green
full send
on Sunday at Valhalla because someone had to fucking do it.
That was crazy. I forgot about that too, man. That was an epic one. And there was like the shot display of all the shots from the day. And then there's Alejandro Tosti on the green because fuck it, why not? I'm not in the mix and I'm going to let this bad boy rip.
Yeah. He wasn't that far out of the mix though. I mean, he wasn't going to win the tournament, but it wasn't a small amount of money. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a $60,000 shot or whatever, you know?
Definitely. I also wanted to be sure to get this up here from Mr. Tony Marchese. Robert McIntyre Scottish Open was an excellent victory as well. That is one that
that coming up in a different category, Tony. I got you.
Oh, no, you need to go down a little further.
I got you. I'm not going to snub you either, Mr. Ross. I wish we got a video of that one. Oh, Ross, this one's going to hurt. Scratch is out for blood today, man.
Oh, jeez. I got that one coming up too.
Okay,
boy.
But also right back at Scratch, my tie for golf shot of the year was a huge W for the Golf on Tap team with Jack Bushman on site. Golf shot of the year is when Denny McCarthy tossed sod into the creek on the playoff hole, giving Akshay the win when Jack and I both picked him outright for the week to bring that home for the squad.
Oh my gosh. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go fully in on my emotions of that day because again, that's going to come up sometime later on in the episode, but I am very appreciative to Mr. Denny McCarthy for that one. And Scratch, I know that one stings you a little bit deeper in particular. Next one that I wanted to get to. What do we got here? I apologize. Tournament of the year. Not the win of the year. What was the tournament you enjoyed watching or the most exciting finish of the year?
All right. I got one here, and I had it as playoff of the year, but this is also my tournament of the year because of this playoff. The U.S. Senior Open. Dick Bland and Hiroyuki Fujita. I don't know. Fujita hits the ball nowhere. He hits the ball 210 yards off the tee. Bland fucking mashes it. And they go toe-to-toe. Or like, it's unbelievable. And Newport was showing out. Great course. That, tournament of the year was the U.S. Senior Open. A lot of people missed it, but that shit slapped.
Dude, that's hilarious. My tournament of the year was the Valero Texas Open, where I'm going next, where fortunately Mr. Denny McCarthy chunked it into the drink because previously to that, he was on an absolute heater to take my money. And it was the full swing of emotions that come into golf gambling in one day, fellas. Not only was Ross also on Akshay Bhatia that week, but so was Joey Riccata, who Tweeth you haven't met yet, but also does some golf stuff with us here over with Golf on Tap. We all had Akshay Bhatia that day. I'm following Akshay throughout the weekend. It's Sunday. I think he's on the 4th hole and he's up 8. And I'm literally on the 4th fairway on the phone with Joey being like, dude, Akshay's fucking cruising, brother. This is one of the best things I've ever watched. to them turning and going to the back nine and Denny McCarthy birdieing everything. And by the way, I forgot to add this too. I traveled down to San Antonio for that tournament. My brother at the time lived in San Antonio. He comes out to the golf course on Sunday to watch this with me. So he's watching me melt down as Denny is making birdie after birdie after birdie to rip away my vacation money. Fortunately, Akshay nutted up and made a huge 16-footer to force a playoff. Denny ends up in the drink. Akshay winds up winning the thing. All wound up working out tremendously, but it was one sweaty afternoon. And I think, in my opinion, I know I'm a little biased because I was there and ended up winning on it, but I do think that's probably the forgotten tournament of the year. To watch Denny march his way down from a 7-shot deficit on the back nine to force a playoff, that was absolutely incredible to watch in person. So that's my tournament of the year. Ross, what do you got in this category?
So this may not be everyone's favorite, but for sickos like me and Tweeth and Jack, my tournament of the year is how fucking often do you get a 5-man playoff for the dub? I'm gonna go with the ISCO Championship.
That was wild.
Opposite the Scottish Open. Harry Hall, Matt Neesmith, Pearson Coody, Zach Blair, and Rico Hoy all going at it. And to this day, I still don't understand. I am actually convinced that Pearson Coody was going for a practice swing and actually hit his ball because that thing like went 2 inches out of the grass and just died.
Yeah.
And I was literally texting you and Tweeth like, wait, was that an actual attempt? Because it's in the hole or it's over, and he didn't even make it out of the grass. But yeah, a 5-man playoff. If you're a sicko, a 5-man playoff is fucking awesome. Come on.
I unfortunately had Rico Hoy outright that day, and he bogeyed the 72nd hole, and then was the first man out of the playoff. Tough scene for your boy.
Yeah, my visor guy Neesmith didn't fare too well.
Oh yeah, I forgot Neesmith's part of the visor gang. I remember he and Zach Blair posted their score like 6 hours earlier and had to stick around for the playoff. Wild times at the ISCO Championship. Tweeth, what's the next one you got for us?
All right, I'm going to do 2 here because they go together, and I don't think you guys will have one for either of this, but if you do, jump in. All right, my first one here is Asterisk of the Year. And the runner-up is Asterisk Tally, who I love, and who is unbelievable, and we'll get to in a second. But the winner for Asterisk of the Year is Taylor Gooch, because none of the majors featured Taylor Gooch, and thus they all had asterisks. According to Taylor Gooch, if you win a major that he's not in, it's got an asterisk on it. Sorry, guys. They all had asterisks. Taylor Gooch wins Asterisk of the Year. However,
I got one.
You got one? Go for it.
I got one. Matt Kuchar. He would have won the Wyndham if they would have just been able to play the next day.
He could have just, yeah, unbelievable. That's a good one.
If they would have just shut the guys down and forced them to not play in the dark, Matt Kuchar was just trying to set a good example for Max Grazerman.
For Max Grazerman, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Kuchar should have won the Wyndham.
That's a great one.
Ross, you got anything? I know that's a tough brainstorm. I didn't want to cut you off before we move along.
No, that's good because I had one backed up to it. So go.
No, my asterisk of the year is Max Grazerman, because if golf was 14 holes like John Daly wanted, Max Grazerman would be a 3-time champion this year.
He might have Scotty Scheffler's resume.
I had Grazerman as bad beat of the year for you. So sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know what? I've just learned to lean into it and live with it. That is my role. That is what I do for the golf community. Is I'm the guy that comes up shorthanded, quite literally, every week. And you know what? When you're good at something, you lean into it, guns. You embrace it, you roll with it. That's gonna be my niche. I'm gonna go with it. I embrace it. On to 2025.
I have one other asterisk shout out. It's David Skins, because if tournaments were only one round, David Skins would probably have won 4 or 5 times this year. So shout out to David Skins, big asterisk guy.
Love Skinsy. Got his card. It's 122nd.
Absolutely. We shouted him out last week on the show. Love to see old man Grinder get that car secured.
Grinder. Shout out to our guy, Coach Mackay, Skinsy's roommate in college. What's up, Coach?
Shout out Coach Mackay. And then I was going to say that's definitely been a previous conversation Jack and I have had for this upcoming year. It's just every single week bet David Skins, first round leader. Trust me, you are going to make more money on that than you're going to lose over the course of the year if you bet every single tournament.
Just hit the Honda, hit Puerto Rico, hit a couple there. It's for sure going to hit one of them.
Oh yeah. Short tracks, coastal golf courses, David Skins jam.
Yep. So we couldn't give Asterisk Tally Asterisk of the Year, unfortunately. But
Sadly.
We can give her Amateur of the Year. Because I think Asterisk Tally is the Amateur of the Year. She was runner-up at the U.S. Women's Amateur. She won the Curtis Cup. She's freaking 16 years old. Hits the ball a mile. Like, should be on the Solheim Cup team. Is just a real player and a delight to watch. And there was really only one other person I considered. And I bet one of you will have Amateur of the Year as the other person that I considered. Do you have one?
Mr. Nick Dunlap? Would he be considered still? Or?
I think because he turned pro, it took him off of my calendar a little bit.
Then it would probably be Mr. Luke Clanton.
It's got to be Mr. Luke Clanton. Yeah.
The kids just got game, man. The kids in general just got game.
Yeah, the kids have game. That kid has game. Yeah. I mean, Kyle Porter wrote a thing today making essentially the beginnings of an argument to put him on the Ryder Cup team. I don't hate it.
Sheesh. That's going to be an interesting one to follow throughout the course of this year, man.
I don't love rooting for FSU anyone's, but he's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, dude. He's fun. Good kid.
My Amateur of the Year has an asterisk just for his faces alone. Give me a Neil Shipley prior just for the faces that we got.
Yeah.
Of
the Masters. Am I okay here? Can I answer this question?
Look, can I answer that, or someone please help me? I don't know what to do with my hand.
Literally,
Right.
that was that moment encompassed in a point in time. What do I have next here? Oh, I got a good one. Biggest surprise. Which player was the biggest surprise to you this year?
Good one. You guys
Ross,
go.
Okay, I got one immediately off the top of my head, so I can let you guys think. I went with Robert McIntyre. To get 2 wins.
Really good one.
I mean, I expected big things out of Robert McIntyre. I don't think I expected him to win the Scottish and to win another time in a single season. I think that has to be the biggest surprise of the year to me.
Yeah, 2 National Opens. Canadian Open and Scottish
Open.
Open.
Incredible.
So that's where my mind initially went for right off the top of my head. But I'm going to second that with saying Matt McCarty. Matt McCarty winning constantly on the Corn Ferry Tour this year, making the jump, getting the sponsors exemptions into the fall, and immediately winning in the fall swing after already earning his card. I think it'll go to another category for later in what we're going to talk about. But huge thing. I think he caught my eye very late in the year once with his body of work, and just in that fall swing was super impressed to see someone get their opportunity and jump and capitalize right away. And which is, again, for shout out Monday Q Ryan. I know he's probably listening as always. Stupid that we're cutting some of these things down.
Yeah, that's a great one. I'm going to throw you another multiple time winner, Austin Eckroat. Surprise of the year. Not a surprise that he's playing well. Dude has the pedigree, all the talent in the world. But a lot of guys in his position could have taken that step, and only one of them did.
Right.
And so shout out to Austin Eckroat. Like maybe a top 20 player in the making, maybe a top 10 player in the making. Like I think his comp is like Wyndham Clark, maybe.
Yeah.
Where like the guy who's like has a lot of tools,
drives the piss out of the golf ball. Drives the piss out of the ball.
And is it going to shock anybody if he peels off a U.S. Open on accident?
Right.
right? And so, that's kind of like Wyndham's a top 10 player in the world right now, and he could easily, Eckroat could come into that spot.
I think it's going to be a big 2025 for Austin Eckroat. Me and Ross actually mentioned that last week, talking about the fall winners and predicting kind of which ones we think can kind of snowball this momentum into 2025. And Austin Eckroat is one of those guys. I would not be surprised whatsoever to see him take down another big win or two next year.
How about this? I'm going to predict a signature event win for Austin.
All right. Which one?
We're going to get a Siggy out of Austin Eckroat. Might be the Travelers, might be Harbor Town. We don't know which Siggy he's going to pop off, but Eckroat's going to pop off a Siggy this year.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, man. I think his sky's the limit, and he's just starting to put it together a little bit, and just more experiences, more winning contention is only going to bode well for him in serious contention later on down the stretch. So, yeah. Also, one player I thought could be fitting into this category in terms of biggest surprise, Aaron Rai. I never thought Aaron Rai was going to be a PGA Tour winner. I thought he was just kind of going to be a guy who lingers and, can finish T3, T4 every now and then. I was never going to put my money down on Aaron Rai, but to see him have that back half of the summer that he did, capped off with finally getting the job done, impressive stuff out of Aaron Rai.
Ross, is Aaron Rai your least favorite guy in the world because he can wear two gloves at the same time?
No, quite literally, yes. I've been on record that it's part of the reason that bothers me is the two gloves, and I couldn't even wear two gloves if I wanted to. So it's kind of bullshit.
Aaron Rai's got
kind of feels like a spit in the face. So
it's an insult.
It's
bullshit, man.
Ross sees the TV and he just goes, "This fucking guy."
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Tweeth, you want to go next, or you want me to roll one off?
If you got, I have a bunch still, but I'm worried that the ones I have are like too niche that you guys won't. So if you have like a more general one, go for it.
I got Tweeth. We brought you in for very specific reason, solid. and it is your.
You do one more, Jack, and then I'll fire off.
For sure, I still got a couple here as well, so we got some stuff to work with. Biggest disappointment. Who was the biggest disappointment of the season, fellas? Mine, for me, was Max Homa. Guy spent more time crying on tee boxes than he did in contention throughout the summer. Absolutely lost on the golf course. Really disappointing year out of Max Homa.
Yeah, I lost a little bit of money a couple of times on Max.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I like Max a lot.
Listen, I do too.
Not your fault, Max. Listen, I'm not blaming you for this, but Pebble, I lost a little money on Max. The Players, I lost a little money on Max. I didn't do well. Betting on Homa this year. Ross, you got one before I jump in?
I actually have a tie between two people here. So the first one is kind of silly, but I called this so long ago, like prior to even starting last year. First disappointment, Jordan Spieth just not biting the bullet and getting the wrist surgery right away. We all saw it early in the year. Every single week he would show up, that wrist was more and more taped up, higher and higher, stronger and stronger, to where it started looking like a cast, where we all knew at the beginning of the year, you're hurt. You're not letting on to it, right? My biggest disappointment is the fact that you just didn't bite the bullet and go do it way sooner. And then at the end of the year, oh yeah, I had to go get this done. We all knew it 6 months before, Jordan. You just should have went and fucking got it done. My other one, honestly, for how big of a year he had leading into this and how well he played in spurts, just couldn't put it together all year. My biggest disappointment was Wyndham Clark.
Interesting.
That when the game is on, he is so fucking good when the game is on. And then it was like every 5 to 6 weeks, every 5, 6 tournaments, he's missing cuts to all of a sudden he's T4, T5, missing cuts, T4, T5, T2, missing cuts. Just if he were able to put together just a consistent season, finish in the top 20, would have been so much better but the win he had got him so much further up the board.
Signature event too.
Exactly. It got him so much further than what the yeah, a 3-day 54-round signature event. No cut signature event. Wow, that's amazing, right? But no, he was my biggest disappointment because the game, there were flashes and moments where the game was so good and you could see why we take him seriously and why he is renowned. And then it would like disappear for 7-8 weeks at a time. And then there's a flash in the pan again. And you're like, oh, he'll play. These courses are similar. He'll come back. He finished T4 here. He'll play really well next week. It's like he missed the cut again.
Yeah. No consistency in his game. And the majors too, man. The majors have just absolutely dogged him so far since he's been relevant on tour.
Yeah.
I had Spieth for this as well. And I'm going to give Spieth one more superlative here. I'm going to give him DQ of the year for Riviera, where he signed an incorrect scorecard and didn't realize that he signed an incorrect scorecard because he had to take a shit. You guys remember this? Yep. He ran out of the scoring tent before they figured out that he had one of the holes wrong because he ate some of that trailer park In-N-Out that they had in the food trucks, and it made him have to take a shit. And that was my favorite DQ of the entire year. But my guy Spieth, man, like, it's the wrist. Who knows what else it is, but I'm worried that Jordan Spieth is the type of magician that works really well when the field clears the way for him on its own. And when everybody else is dumping it into Rays Creek or whatever, he's the type of guy who can. Now, Rays Creek's probably the bad example here because he's the fell victim to it too. But, when everybody else is clearing the way for him, he's the guy who can make magic happen and make the birdies he needs to win. I think what's hurting me and was breaking my heart a little bit about Spieth is the talent in the field is to the point where they're not all going to clear out at the same time anymore. And he's going to have to go do battle to win. And what Schauffele has that Spieth doesn't right now, at least, is the ability to do battle, to go in and say, like, I'm going to be one shot better than you when the conditions are at their hardest. And Spieth doesn't have that anymore. And the field isn't going to move out of his way to let him make magic. And so I hope the wrist heals. I hope he comes back strong. I hope he proves me wrong. I'd love to see him win another Masters, win another major, finish the Grand Slam at the PGA, whatever he needs to do. I just don't see it happening. I think it's kind of like, I think we saw Jordan Spieth's greatness, and it's probably done.
Interesting. Tweeth, what else you got for us on these lists of superlatives? I know you still got.
Let me do one I know you guys will have one on because you are plugged into the golf space and you're sickos like I am. I want to do golf video content of the year. And I would like to shout out our pals at No Laying Up for the Old Course Reversed video.
That was awesome.
That was one of the best hours I spent all year talking or thinking about golf. The needle drop of the We Were Promised Jetpack song toward the end is like cinematic in a way that nothing I've seen in golf content is. And that fucking video is so good. If anybody within the sound of my voice has not seen that, I encourage you the moment this is done to go watch the Old Course Reversed. It is so fun and so cool. That was my golf video content of the year.
My favorite golf content. I'm trying to think of which one was my favorite. Fuck.
It can be Johnson Wagner too, because that was my runner-up.
That was. I didn't want to double down. I didn't want to double down on that.
I'll go because I got one, and we don't like to always share these things, but you got to give credit where credit is due. The Tiger Woods foreplay where Tiger just fucks them up in basically 30 seconds on camera, all three of them. Like Frankie being like, I can't hit my 5-wood or a wood ever. All right, well, drop it. Frankie smokes one. What the fuck are you talking about? Get out of my way. The Trent dropping multiple balls with struggling with iron, and then Trent shanks like 5 in a row, and Tiger being like, we're gonna circle back and we're gonna work on this again. Like you're done right now. And then just out driving Riggs from his knees.
That was classic. That was classic.
Just that 2-minute buildup of those three things. Like, all right, well, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're good. I don't know what you're talking about. There's a whole shitload of things I don't even have enough time to start about. And hey, come here, let's do this competition. Oh, I'm gonna hit off my knees. Oh, I win.
Is it a little sad that that's what Tiger is now, though?
Yeah, it is kind of a little bit.
It is
great
but
content,
it was just,
but like, God, that sucks if that's what Tiger is.
yes,
Right.
Absolutely.
He's the smash the like button guy.
Ugh.
Okay. So where my mind went, watching Joey Coldcuts and Bob both have a hole in one within like a 3-month stretch, I thought was absolutely awesome with one another. I also really enjoyed Trent's break 90 for the way that he finally did break 90 after, I don't know if you guys saw, he needed like a par or something on 18 and he topped his tee ball in like the previous video that he did, so he didn't break 90 that time. To watch him break 90 was super cool. What was I just about to, there was one more video that I wanted to shout out. It was the recent the money game that was done by the big YouTube creator contents where Rick Shields came away with a lot of money. I liked that video. I thought that video was really cool, and I enjoyed the competition that was in it. So that was, I know, a long answer with 3 different videos. I can't really select which one I enjoyed the most, but those
Can I
were
throw
kind of some of the ones.
one more candidate out there?
Absolutely.
Scotty Scheffler arrest video.
Oh man, that was prime time content. Prime time content. That's
the best part of that of the Scotty Scheffler arrest video is when he's in the back of the car, cuffed, and the cop is talking to him. So you play on the PGA Tour? Yeah, you must be pretty good, huh? The fact that Scotty just didn't, he had a moment to do and just be like, yeah, best in the world, but didn't, made me laugh so hard that it was the perfect setup for you to have that moment. And you just lay it out there. Oh, you must be pretty good, huh? I thought that was your moment to just be boom. Didn't, and I appreciate it because it made it so much funnier.
That was one of the most chaotic mornings I've ever had. I remember I woke up a little late that morning too, like after obviously all that had gone down, and probably like 7:30 or 8 o'clock I had woken up and my phone had like 40 texts from people that I hadn't talked to in forever, being like, knowing that I do golf stuff, being like, oh my God, what the heck happened? I'm like, Jesus Christ. I would have to go with the Scotty video is my favorite of the year. Thanks for bringing that up, Tweeth.
That's a good one.
Next one I have here is the Vibes Award. Who brings the best vibes on the PGA Tour? Who do you guys got here? I can provide you mine right away, so you give a second to think.
I have an answer. Go ahead.
I went with Sahith Theegala. I think Sith brings great vibes. The whole family's out there, mobbing deep. His dad's in the t-shirt. The best vibes. Sahith never is in a bad mood, man. And he's got some short game magic, good fist pumps. Sith always seems like he's a happy guy, and I love his vibes out there. So Sahith Theegala is my answer.
Have you guys seen Syracuse's football coach? He looks a lot like Sahith Theegala.
Oh my God, I forgot.
A whole conversation for us.
He looks a lot like it. Every time he comes up, if you catch him at the right angle with the beard, it's like, wait, is that? No, okay, it's not. It's not.
Demo Sweeney, I got you.
Without a tan.
Yeah, he looks just like him. Listen, I had this as fit of the year, but Jason Day's vest at the Masters is the most vibey the PGA Tour got this year, or any golf got this year. So I appreciate Jason Day for bringing the vibes. I'm going to give the same award in the women's category to Charlie Hull. That those two do not bring the vibes because they wear Malbon. They can pull off Malbon because they bring the vibes. Those are my vibe, king and queen.
So my pick, real simple, just the way he went about everything all year. That I'm not supposed to be here. I was bouncing at a bar last year.
Oh, Jake.
I'm gonna go Jake Knapp.
The Cali boy.
Jake Knapp vibes. I'm gonna hit it a country mile. It might not be in bounds, but I'm gonna hit it way the fuck down there.
I love that, and he's got the vape sponsor going on his.
Yeah.
He's got the vape sponsor. He's got the Anaheim Ducks going.
That's a great answer, Ross. And you know what? That just reminded me of too. That ties into this very well. Vibes Award. Shota, after Hideki had the round of the year, just chiefing his e-cig at Riviera, watching everybody finish up. I was like, that's a guy's guy right there. Great vibes out of all these guys. What else you got for us, Tweeth? I got one more in my queue. I don't know how many more.
Let me throw one out there. You guys might have one for.
Perfect.
Runner-up of the year. I had Justin Rose at the Open Championship. I thought that was a heroic runner-up. That I was rooting for him to pull it off, and it wasn't to be because Xander's a dog. But Justin Rose putting that final round together, I thought that was as impressive as his gold medal. That was as impressive almost as his U.S. Open win at Marion. That was like easily in the 3 most impressive things, and it's probably number 2 that he's done in his career. And I was really like, this is dumb to say, but I was proud of him for doing that. Like I was just like, yeah, man, like good for you. Like I really just thought like that was a statement that he really needed to make at the end of his career, win or lose there. And that was the runner-up of the year that felt the most like a win.
I got one in that same tournament. I actually don't know if he technically finished runner-up, but Billy Horschel.
He was one shot back. He was third.
So technically,
or no, he was T2. He was T2 with Justin Rose. They both were tied. That's right. So yeah, runner-up.
Epic performance out of Billy Horschel too. Backwards hat Billy in the tough conditions. That Saturday round was unbelievable. What he was doing with the short game. Everything was chasing right next to the pin. He was on fire, and he's got a good support over there as well, as he's someone who comes over a lot and plays on the DP World Tour. Big soccer guy as well. So yeah, love that out of Billy Horschel. This one was a heartbreaker for me, but I got to bring it up. The Wyndham Clark at the Players Championship.
I had so much money on him that week.
I did too, buddy. And I literally dropped to my knees when that putt lipped out. That one was a heartbreaker. But for him to sack up birdie 16, birdie the island green on 17 to give him a look.
3/4 of the way down. I mean, the ball is in the hole. And then just done with it.
Oh, it broke my heart. But a great effort out of Wyndham Clark there. That's another one that comes to mind. What do you got for us, Ross?
I think we know what Ross's is.
No, actually, I'm gonna
not Grazerman.
I'm gonna drop a bomb here. My runner-up of the year that we are never, ever, ever going to forget. Rory McIlroy finishing second at the U.S. Open.
Oh yeah, that's probably the correct answer.
No.
We will never forget.
That's a bad number 2.
Well, no, it depends on how you look at runner-up of the year. Depends about how you go about.
Maybe the most memorable runner-up of the year. Definitely not the one I want to celebrate.
Yes. That is a great depiction of it. Forgot about that one as well.
Every other one is Max Grazerman finishing second, and I don't really want to celebrate any fucking those. So.
Yeah.
I have no reason to celebrate those.
So I know we had shot of the year talked about earlier. I don't really, I didn't know how to properly phrase this, fella, so I'll kind of explain it. The random ass golf shot of the year that stands out to you. Maybe it wasn't a good one. I have one in particular that stands out to me to kind of help explain this a little bit as an example. Jordan Spieth at Valero. The Jordan Spieth hitting it onto the roof at Valero was the
first one that came to mind for me.
The most random golf shot I have literally ever seen in my entire life. And I was there that week. And I don't know how you can hit it on the clubhouse there. Obviously, he did it intentionally to get himself some sort of relief. That is the random ass golf shot of the year that comes to mind. I don't even know if there's one that's going to come to mind for you guys, so we can skip to another category if you can't think of anything.
I've already got one. I got one right off the top of my head.
Give me a Ross.
Akshay Bhatia Rocket Mortgage Championship going in the trees 30 yards off the tee.
Yes, there for that one too. Thank you for bringing that one back up. We were literally texting. I went, Ross, what happened to Akshay here?
Akshay played the tree line and put it in the trees 30 yards off the tee.
It was legitimately.
It went 84 yards.
It was legitimately like a 360-yard par 4, and Akshay had like 250 in, and I was up by the green, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And Ross texts me, yeah, he tried to play the tree line. Didn't happen. I was like, oh, still made a 4. Still made a 4. Unbelievable par out of Akshay. Great call out, Ross.
2. One of them I was on site for at the Players, and our guy J-Don Takes reminded me of this earlier. Max Homa hit one that damn near killed somebody that day. He hit one like off of a pine straw lie that like almost killed a man, and hit a tree or something. And like, so we were on the course 5 or 6 holes away and started getting text messages. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that? And we're like, what happened? We had to go find the video of it. And then walk to the spot, and it was like, oh my God, like they're lucky to have survived. So Homa almost killed someone. That was a crazy one. And then this is my own brain not working, but you're gonna have to remind me what tournament it was. My guy Keith Mitchell was in the lead on Sunday at an event in April. Valspar, thank you. And he
parking lot
yanks one into the cars, and like, it was at the first tee or the second. It was like very early on. It was the first tee.
It was his opening tee shot on Sunday.
Cars. And I was just like, is that how this is gonna go today? Like, I knew it was so early on because I was watching on the patio. I had bet on him. He was in the lead. My wife comes out, goes, "How's it going?" And I was like, "Not good, Bob." We are in the car park right now. We are looking for the ball under the tires. That one was like a really rough one. But those two. Let me give you one more really good one that delighted me more than maybe any golf shot this year. Justin Thomas's opener on Sunday at the Open Championship. If you have not watched this since the broadcast day, I would encourage you to go find it. Find the broadcast. It's DVR'd on my TV, and I'll never delete it, because what happens is he's on the tee box. He's taking iron off the first tee because he's being safe. There's nothing but ocean to the right. The wind is, I think, coming in off the right. And he's taking iron off the tee to be safe. And they give him, I mean, he's got like a lengthy pre-shot routine. He's got to put the tee in the ground. He's got to line it up. And they're just like, wouldn't it be great if Justin Thomas in the hunt found his form again? And they're gassing him up. And then it's quiet. And then he shanks it into the ocean. Like, I mean, just big right miss. And my neighbors probably thought something was wrong with me. I howled in laughter so loud, again, on my patio, watching this. Like, I'm surprised he didn't send somebody over to do a wellness check. I was laughing so fucking hard. It was like one of the best moments. As a Justin Thomas hater, that was my favorite moment of the year. Just shipping it into the Atlantic Ocean was so good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Last one I have, Tweeth. Unsung hero. Who's the unsung hero of the year on the PGA Tour? Random as shit. I went with Russell Henley. Had one hell of a year. I don't know if anyone's going to talk about it, but he played spectacular at the majors this year. Didn't win at all, but a phenomenal year out of Russell Henley that I think is not going to get talked about whatsoever.
That's a really good one.
Anyone else that comes to mind that maybe had a sneaky good year or that will be forgotten about or anything along those lines?
I have one that's not a player, but I had this as caddy of the year.
Okay.
I thought maybe about Bob Mack's dad caddying at the Canadian Open. It's a really beautiful moment. They win the tournament together. He's got that ugly shirt on. But caddy of the year is, do you guys remember the FedEx St. Jude Championship? The week prior to FedEx St. Jude, Hideki Matsuyama goes to London. They get their bag stolen. Shota loses his passport and can't get back into the U.S. And Ryo Hisatsune's caddy, Taiga, steps up and caddies the man to a victory at the FedEx St. Jude. Unsung hero of the year.
Yeah, that ties in perfectly.
Caddy Taiga caddying Hideki to the win of the FedEx St. Jude was a big, big moment for that guy. He's caddy of the year and my unsung hero of the year.
That's an excellent answer.
My unsung hero of the year, just a good year overall. Good to see him in the winner's circle. Good to see him being in the hunt, having some great finishes, giving us things to be cheerful for late in the year, and all the way up to the Ryder Cup, being a name right there that was in the hunt. Billy Horschel. Billy Horschel with the bounce back of all time.
Go Gators.
Absolutely love it. Always cheering for Billy. That is all I had for my list, though, guys. That is
Let me
all I had.
rapid fire you. We'll close out, but I'm going to rapid fire you 3 more that I got to clear my list out here.
Perfect.
Okay? All right.
Totally fine.
One of them we talked about already, but I'm going to bring it back up here. Hold on. Let me find this. Where am I at? Okay. We talked about bad beat of the year. I had Ross, Grazerman 3 times in a row. It's a pretty bad beat. But the actual winner is me, because I had Shane Lowry for first round leader at the Open Championship, and fucking Daniel Brown birdies like 2 of the last 3 holes and clips him by 1. I still haven't gotten over it. I don't know how he did it. Smoking ass Dan Brown. That was my bad beat of the year. I've got Monday of the year. Obviously, Monday qualifiers are going away. Got a little, we're losing Mondays, and I feel bad about it. But the Monday of the year was actually Matt Kuchar finishing alone.
Yes.
At the Wyndham. Just most ridiculous move of the year. That honestly, maybe the thing I remember most about this year, 10 years from now, is Matt Kuchar finishing alone on a Monday to teach Max Grazerman a lesson nobody asked for. That was unbelievable. And finally, I have outburst of the year. And this one was a tie between Zach Johnson yelling "fuck off" to fans at the Masters and Zach Johnson yelling "don't sir me" to patrons at the Waste Management. Zach Johnson is in a tie with Zach Johnson for outburst of the year. Those are all the awards I brought with me.
So I actually have a really good one to match your bad beat of the year. Bad beat of the year. If he just could have done anything in the closing holes, he'd be a PGA Tour winner. The fact that Cam Young let fucking Peter Malnati beat him at Valspar.
That's where I was going. That's exactly where I was going with bad beat of the year.
I don't ever bet on Cam Young, so that didn't occur to me. But yeah, if you bet on Cam Young, that's a bad one.
Oh,
just
man.
The fact that was your chance to get your first one, and you just let Pete, yellow ball, bucket hat Pete, take that one from you. I'm also gonna say the outburst of the year. I don't think there's any way you can top Waste Management with Zach Johnson. Just do not call me sir.
Sir me. And then afterwards, in the press conference, he's like, "This place has been out of pocket as long as I've been coming here, man." And it's like, well, then don't fucking come. Nobody asked for you to be here. No one gives a shit, man.
Take your country ass back to Iowa.
And that was my favorite part, is that after he had that whole outburst, every single golf writer in the world was like, Zach Johnson has chosen to elect to come to this event for the last 19 seasons.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're not begging for it, man. No one would have noticed if you weren't here.
I do have one for Monday of the year, because the can't even remember the name of it. The Honda, the stupid name.
Cognizant now.
Yeah, the Cog. That was a Monday finish, and I remember watching Shane Lowry kick his golf club on one of the tee boxes, and I made a short little video of it with the Sarah McLachlan, the sad commercial. And it's a slow-mo of Shane Lowry kicking his golf club on the tee box, because he always seemingly has horrible Sundays at that golf course. So that was my Monday of the year. Yeah, I don't think
he was just mad he had to miss the Seminole Pro member.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he was double whammy there for old Shane Lowry on Monday morning. I was trying to think of something that would top the Zach Johnson outburst, but I can't really remember. I can't think of anything better than that off the top. Actually, I got one. I can't say any of the words on here, but the Tyrrell Hatton mic'd up. I forget which LIV event it was, but he's talking about the bounce, cheeky blank bounce. I don't know if you all know exactly what video I'm talking about, but it was a great hot mic on old Tyrrell Hatton, who's good for a hot mic or two seemingly every week.
I still love Tyrrell. That might be the dude I'd miss most.
I do too. And what's crazy about it is I hated him when I first became a golf fan. I hated him, and then kind of came around to appreciating that you need some of that in the sport, and became one of my favorite characters out there in the game.
You know how they tell people like us, you're not good enough to get this mad,
right?
You know, you get throw, I used to throw clubs, and I've cleansed myself, and I don't throw them anymore. But people used to say hey man, you're not good enough to be this mad. Hatton is good enough. He should be as mad as he wants. He's one of the 50 best players in the world. Get mad, throw shit, curse, whatever, do whatever you want. Yeah, I like it a couple of weeks ago when he was pissed in Jeddah or whatever, and he was like, "This fucking golf course doesn't make any sense." And it was like, "Yeah, Greg Norman designed this golf course. Maybe just dial it down a little bit, Tyrrell."
Yeah, that's great. Oh man, gotta love Tyrrell. Gotta love Tyrrell.
No, my favorite is whatever event it was for LIV, where he busted out the long iron off the tee, and he's like, and he sits there, he hits it, and he's like, 100 times, 99 people are gonna go left. I'm the fucking cunt that goes right.
Dude, I miss Tyrrell. I miss Tyrrell and his antics very much so. Very much so. Think we're gonna see Zach Johnson at the Waste Management this year? Sorry to cut you off, Tweeth.
Wait, what'd you say?
Do we see ZJ at Waste Management this year?
If they invite him, yeah, he's not. The dude's addicted to a camera, dude. Like, yes, 100%. That man wants. No one loved "Don't Sir Me" more than Zach Johnson getting as much airtime as he got off of that. That dude loves the look of his own face on the camera. Loves the sound of his own voice. Yes, he will be anywhere you'll put a camera at him for the rest of his life. Watch it. He's going to be on every tournament he gets invited to. He's going to be the thirstiest motherfucker alive until the day they put him in the ground. That just is going to be what it is.
Just clinging on.
Can we call?
All right.
Give me one story you want in 2025. Just give me your biggest hope for the coming year in golf. It can be on the course. It can be off the course. It can be, I don't know, the sport ceasing to exist. Just one thing you want to happen.
I just want to say this is why we're friends, because you literally just read my mind, because I was going to give me 3 things, everyone, for 2025, what you are predicting to see.
Let's do
it. The first thing, or do we want to, are we all able to come? We think we can do 3 off the top of our head that we're
How about
see?
This? Can I make it interesting real quick? I'm going to trust you guys.
Yes.
I want you to do one thing you really want to happen, one thing you think will happen, and one thing you're afraid will happen.
God, Tweeth, you're a man of just phenomenal ideas. Let me just tell you.
Thank you.
All right, how about we start with?
If I were wearing a hat, all the ideas would get stuck inside, but the visor just lets the ideas come out.
Yeah, just freeze it all up. Freeze it all up, baby. All right. I'll start with my one thing that I would like to see happen, and then we'll go around. You guys each do one.
Love it. Yep.
Perfect. All right. One thing I would like to see, I would love to see happen next year. Rory McIlroy wins the Masters.
Come on, from your lips to God's ears. Let's go.
Come on, Rory. I think it would be the biggest story we've had in quite a while. Obviously, it gets talked about every year. I would just love to see the emotions of Rory after finally doing it on the 72nd or whatever hole it is. It would almost bring me to tears, like watching Tiger do it in 2019, probably. If Rory finally does it at the Masters, I might cry. Yeah, I might cry.
Yeah. That was going to be mine, but I'll come up with another one. Ross,
I apologize. I didn't mean to do that to you.
That should be everyone's wish list.
No, Jack, you cleared the board, honestly, because that was going to be my want is just the breakthrough. I'm going to say, for my want for 2025, my want is going to be, I don't need wins. I don't need unbelievable performances. If we can just cut the bullshit and just have Tiger play, I think golf is more fun when he is present. So if we can stop the maybe here, just here's a schedule, several events we know, and he's just there. Doesn't need to make the cut, whatever. Is a lifelong golf fan. It's fun when he's around and present. I am hoping we can get some kind of continuity in a schedule and not a constant guessing game, just to see a GOAT out there playing. That's it. That would be my want. Let's get rid of the constant guessing. Let's just be present.
Love that. Listen, Rory for the Masters or any major is going to top the list, but let me throw a wish list item out there for just another visor winner. I don't care if it's Keith Mitchell, Bo Hostler, Tyson Alexander, Neesmith. You just like bring me a visor guy in the winner's circle at some point this year. Don't care where, don't care who. That's my wish list item for 2025. But it's really Rory winning the Masters.
Which way do you want me to go next?
You pick. Dealer's choice.
So
you got what we think will happen or what we're afraid will happen.
What I'm afraid will happen. I guess I have two. Which one do I want to go with? I'm afraid that we're going to be in the same exact spot that we are right now in 1 year. I have no confidence that this is going to get sped up. I guess I'm wording that poorly. I'm worried that everything's going to flounder, and all of this, which it kind of seems like the LIV debates are trying to get a deal done with PIF, and that seems like it's not going to happen any longer. It feels like I'm worried that the PGA Tour is going to be, God, I'm sorry, I apologize, guys. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. It sounds better in my head. I'm worried that they're going to be worse off in a year from now than they are right now. I don't really know how to explain that further deeply, but I'm just worried that all of this has been for naught, if that kind of makes sense.
I think it's a valid concern. Because certainly that could be your worry and your prediction. I don't have any confidence that anybody in leadership at PGA Tour is going to do something meaningful. Do you?
No. I was also going to my second part that I was going to say, I won't go too in deep on this. The broadcast was going to be where also I was going. My worry is that the broadcast is never going to get the gist that what they're doing right now just simply isn't good enough.
Right.
Because it feels like, again, just kind of with everything with the PGA Tour, there's no recognition of who's in the room, and the decisions that they've been making haven't been good enough. And the broadcast has been stale for years and years and years. Golf Channel is an absolute nightmare. And I think it's a huge problem of why the PGA Tour is being held back and why it's not really booming and the ratings are down all across the board. I think that's a huge part of it. I'm worried that there's not going to be any changes over the next year in terms of the PGA Tour broadcast, and we're just going to be sitting here with our thumbs up our butt watching shitty coverage all year again. Those were my kind of two concerns.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, those are my two worries, I guess I should say.
So I have one all-encompassing that kind of relates to Jack, and my worry for this next year is PIF is going to come get the DP World Tour. They're going to do what they want, and credit to them, it is probably going to become a better product than it has been. It's going to get more attention, everything. Jay Monahan is going to panic when that happens, and the PGA Tour is going to suffer in his moment of panic because he's not a real leader.
Yeah, that also sounds bleak. Mine isn't quite that doom-filled, but it's equally concerning to me. I'm afraid Justin Thomas is going to be on the Ryder Cup team.
That's
I really don't want to
concerning for you, based on I know your Justin Thomas fandom.
It's a real concern, and I've enjoyed rooting for Europe for these last however many years since he's been on the team, and I will continue to root for Europe. But Bethpage, I want to root for Keegan Bradley. I want to root for the American team, even if I don't particularly like the other half of the team. But the line in the sand I will not cross is Justin Thomas. I'm not rooting for that guy. So I'm worried they're going to put Justin Thomas on the U.S. Ryder Cup team.
Here's the kicker. He had a baby. He's got that dad strength, that dad power. What if he goes and wins like 3-4 events this year?
I mean, he's definitely not parenting. Might as well go play golf.
All right. So the last one is what, Tweeth? What we're predicting?
Yeah, what do we actually think is going to happen? What's your prediction?
What we think is going to happen.
My prediction, I'll kick off. There's one on. It happened way later than I wanted and way later than I was calling for. If he is healthy, and everything goes to plan, I am predicting Jordan Spieth will win an event in 2025 healthy.
We talked about that last week, Ross, just the way he was driving the ball last year. I mean, really sucks that he was driving it so spectacularly and just couldn't hit an iron shot to save his life because of those wrist issues. Wasn't even really chipping like himself. I think it's in the realm of possibility for Jordan Spieth. I don't know if we're ever going to get that major again, but I do think he's capable still of winning tournaments, and I think it could happen next year. What I think is going to happen, a little bias here because I do like this guy, but I've been following him for a long time, and I think the ascension is coming, and it's going to be a big year for him. I think Akshay Bhatia is going to become a top 10 player in the world next year. His game is incredible, and now that he's finally learned how to putt, it was the one thing that was really holding him back in his younger career, and was the biggest flipper in terms of, I actually saw the stat today on social media, strokes gained putting from last year turning around this year. He had the biggest difference in terms of positive gain from 2023 to 2024. He's an incredible ball striker, pretty good distance as well. And I think he had a lot of experiences this past year that's going to shape him up for a big time 2025 campaign. So I think Akshay Bhatia is going to be a top 10 player in the world in 2025.
If it makes sense to add to your argument, I feel like this past year was like his coming out party of gaining like notoriety, and everything, and being like a featured big player. I feel like he struggled a little bit with his journey of like, I am a big player, if that makes sense. Like, being a player of that caliber, he's not used to being a face and a name and everything. I think this is the year where he embraces and realizes it, and that's not a thing that drags him down anymore. Like the nerves, confidence, all kind of work together for once, that I can do this. That I am a top world player.
I agree. I think kind of like the year Sahith just had this past year. I feel like they're on similar
exactly. That's what I mean. Like that type of rebound that I have this fandom. I finally know how to work with it. I've gone through a year of it. When I go into year 2 of it, I know how to embrace it and work through it and play through it. I think that's where we see a breakthrough. If that makes sense to you, also,
definitely.
Tweeth.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I think it's tough because there's only 10 spots in the top 10, right? You can have all the talent in the world and be as talented as the top 10 player in the world and be the 18th ranked player in the world because there's 17 other guys who also have that amount of talent. But yeah, he's got the game to be there, right? Just needs the right breaks at the right times. I'm going to predict something. If I had thought about this ahead of time, I would have researched it. But I'm going through in my head right now. And every year for the last, I've gone back, I think 5 years just thinking it through. We've had a first-time major winner that year. This year we had Xander. Last year was Scotty. Year before that, Cam Smith. There's always like a guy who kind of pops their cherry and wins their first major. I'm going to call 2025 the rise of the Blue Bloods. And this is bad news if you're Max Homa. This might be bad news if you're Sahith. It might be bad news if you're Victor Hovland. But I don't think we have any first-time major winners in 2025. I think we see at the majors real dominance. Bad news if you're Ludwig, too, by the way, who's ready to win one. I think we see some dominant performances from guys who only have one, who only have two, who decide, I don't like the idea of only having one or two majors, and I'm ready to show the world that I'm a dominant force in this game. I think you see Jon Rahm, Cam Smith, you see Colin Morikawa come back to the top. You see Rory, the guy would love that, win one. Maybe Bryson, maybe Brooks reels off another one. There's so many talented players with a couple of majors, or who are major winners already and have that pedigree, that I think they look at themselves and say, the rest of these guys do not belong with us. That Victor Hovland and Max Homa and Ludwig Yet and like these guys don't get to sit at our table. And those guys decide, this is time for us to put our dicks on the table right now, and we're going to win all four majors. And so I think like what we see in 2025 is like real pedigree come to the top, and we're not questioning at all what the group of best players looks like at the end of the year, because we're not getting blessings to Shane Lowry. We're not going to get a Shane Lowry, guy who's a top 20 or 30 player in the world sniping one, or a Wyndham Clark sniping one, although he very well may, both those guys could win one, and that would still make my point for me. I just don't think there's any more room at the table for major winners right now. And I think the guys who have them are going to decide these are for us only, and we're going to close the door behind us because we're going to get too good for you guys to fuck with us. So
that got me kind of fired up for major season. How far are we away from the Masters?
Let's go. 5 months, come on.
That was honestly the coolest thing you could have said, because I legit got fired up and got the tingles.
By the way, I don't know that this is a good thing, because there are a lot of guys who don't have one that I'd love to see get one, but I just don't think they can. The guys who have them are too talented, and they're just going to say fuck off.
And I still
all right. So we're just everyone. We should open up our phones after we finish this episode, and all of us just place a bet on Rory McIlroy grabs 2 in 2025.
He's got Valhalla this year, or not Valhalla, excuse
me.
Quail Hollow, Valhalla. Quail Hollow again this year, so.
Quail Holla.
Quail Holla. Holla.
I mean, that's like, I'm on record as saying, I think I even said on this show one time, Rory won't win the Masters until he wins another one first and gets the top back off the bottle a little bit.
Yeah.
But right now, knowing that the Masters is the next major, am I ready to say Rory's not going to win? No, I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win the Masters. But when he doesn't, I will go back to that take and say he can't win the Masters until he wins another one first. He might as well win the Hollow. But I think this slate this coming year sets up really nicely for Rory.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm nervous.
There's a lot of guys with major championships where I was going to say last to tie a bow on this, a lot of guys who do have major championships that should have a chip on their shoulder coming into this year. So super excited for the major season, super excited for the 2025 campaign kicking off in just about a month with the Century Tournament of Champions. Tweeth, wanted to say thank you once again for taking an hour and a half to join us on today's episode. Appreciate I know a little bit longer than we anticipated, but a lot of good stuff to get through. So greatly appreciate you, Tweeth. To everyone who's still tuning in, make sure to go and follow Tweeth if you don't already at Tweeth_Mitchell on X. For yours truly, you can find me at Jack Bushman2. Can check out Ross at RossJohn22. And one final reminder, go and follow Golf on Tap for free wherever you may listen to your podcast. That way, if you're not able to join us live, still able to catch all of the latest episodes. Tweeth, Ross, thank you all for your time tonight. Lovely episode to everyone tuned in. Thank you one final time. Crack 'em, lock 'em, and we'll see you next